Welcome back to Farm Food Facts, brought to you by the U.S. Farmers and Ranchers in Action. I'm your host, Joanna Guza. While we have our guests on the line, we want to get their insights on the future of agriculture and what they're keeping a close eye on. Our guests were on an earlier episode talking about the multiple uses of soybeans. We are joined with Carla Schultz. She's the owner of 8 Plates Farm in Michigan and a United Soybean Board farmer leader. We also have Patrick Giberson. He's the owner of Giberson Farms in New Jersey and also a United Soybean farmer leader and also a USFRA board member. Now, with this bonus question, I'd like to get both of your perspectives. And Patrick, I'll have you go first. What topics are you keeping an eye on that will have a positive and or negative impact on the future of agriculture?
Well, I guess like anything else, we'll start with the positive. Well, as farmers, we're all optimists to begin with, or we wouldn't be farming. Kind of hard to be negative. But I think, topic-wise, once again, we've pretty much talked about this through the interview, was the fact that, a lot of the biospace stuff that soybeans are involved in, and I think there's going to be more coming out down the road. For the simple reason, a lot of what we're doing too, there's some other programs. We work with a group too, I'll throw them a bone, Nourish the Future. And we fund them out of C&E. We actually had an event at the farm for them. And I think going forward, it's teaching kids at a younger age about what soybeans are involved in and what farmers are involved in. So it's looking at the science of this, the chemistry, the different things, where we're starting to change from our scientific approach or innovation approach to products, using them from the petroleum-based side of things. That's how this has worked for years and years and years. Now we're starting to look at it from a bio-based or soybean-based product from the get-go, not trying to revert, well, this is a petroleum-based, how can we throw soybean oil into this or soybean product into this? We're starting with the soybean, not re-engineering it backwards to use them. So I think going forward with that, you're going to see more and more things coming out in this bio-based niche that we have for soybeans. And I think that's one thing in the positive, whether it be the biofuel sector. We have stuff out for burn victims, new skin. It's basically a Band-Aid you put on and leave it on, the skin grows through it. And there's no issues of scarring or anything with this. So, I mean, in the pharmaceutical world, there's so many avenues yet coming with what we're doing. So that would be, one of my positive takes, besides just the big one that everybody's looking at with biofuels. On the negative side, once again, we kind of manage that a little bit, is loss of farm ground that we've had in this country. That's something that I think everybody needs to keep an eye on. Because, once again, our food source is a national security issue. Also, with a lot of the foreign investors that came in here buying ground up that we really didn't know about, because it's through a bunch of different corporations or whatever, and it's outside foreign, sometimes our enemies that are buying up farm ground, and that's that really hurts our food security end of things. And as Carla said, what happens there is it becomes a conglomerate. So a lot of the small family farms are being swallowed up by these bigger corporations. And, you got to have the individual farms and family farms. That's what made this country. I mean, you've kind of seen what happened with the meat industry. You got big four out there that kind of took a stranglehold on things. So you don't want to see that in the ag sector where we're at either.
I think Patrick hit it on the head, right? We've mentioned this before, but is that biofuel space. When we think of the Class 1 railroads that are now all utilizing biodiesel in their cars, which is awesome. And we're glad to have that. And we're looking to that maritime vessels as well, utilizing that biodiesel. There's so many, I think, of high oleic soybeans as well, right? We've talked about meal in swine, chickens, and your aquaculture diets. But I think now we're looking at even more dairy. And anyone knows right now that dairy and the beef markets have been good for those farms. And so we're like, hey, if we can even help your milk production even more by bringing a high oleic meal in and a more more nutrients, how can we actually use more of this high oleic in their diets as well? So that's a little positive going forward. Negatively, and I'm going to step into this space a little tentatively, but I think the carbon market space, it started out with good intentions, just like a lot of things. But I now think it's become its own animal, and it's forgotten what farmers actually need or want. And so what happened was the cart was before the horse. We're trying to reel that back. I do feel like there's more farmer representation at the table with large food companies, manufacturing companies to know, like, wait a second, this carbon market is now out of control. We're going to utilize and practice what we need to on our farms to get a neutral carbon score or a low carbon score. At the same time, some of the, I think, goals that they've set for farmers are unrealistic, and it's now traded beyond what even farmers can manage or help when we step into that data space. So negatively, I think some things start with intentions, but they go off because we've mentioned this before, economies of scale, right? Money does take over. And how do you reel that back, though, to bring more farmers to the conversation? But that's what I love about an organization like USFRA. Patrick and I have firsthand seen the impacts that we have had being at the table, and we appreciate every table and every conversation that we're able to be at to give input. It's only going to help us as we go into the future.